And creditors allowance makes a lot of sense, because if I have a debtors journal, it means people are buying on credit from me. Ne? They buy on credit, so that we are selling on credit. So now people owe me money. But we all know that you buy a jean, you get home and suddenly it's shrink 2 sizes. So now you want to take it back. So if there's a debtors journal, there has to be a debtors allowance journal. The opportunity for your clients to return the stuff they just bought. Okay, and the same goes with us. If we buy on credit, we must have the opportunity to return the stuff we are not happy with. Okay, so you can see that a debtors journal and a creditors journal is the journal that makes debt more, both of them. This makes the debtors debt more, this makes our debt more to creditors. And the CAJ and the DAJ is the journals that makes the debt less, because here people buy, here people return. So we just need to see who is returning. So now when we look at the debit and credit note, the documentation, just keep in mind that if I have a creditor, let's say I am A and B is my creditor. If I'm doing the books of B, A becomes the debtor. Let's go through it again. So I've got A and B. A buys from B. So in A's books, B is in the CJ. He's a creditor. But in B's books, A is a debtor. So the documents are going to look the same. That's why both the CJ and the DJ are invoices. It's just in the DJ we use the duplicate, and in the CJ we use the original. Let's just quickly go through that principle again. Remember, any documentation is basically in a booklet, right? So in the book it will say debit, credit notes, or whatever, or invoice. Let's take an invoice because it's more, we know that better. So if I look at an invoice, when I open the invoice, it will actually, let me just quickly go look, I've got a receipt. Okay, so I quickly went to borrow the school's order book. And every documentation book works on the same way. So you will see it's a booklet with documents. So if I look here, oh my goodness, I'm just going to start here. Oh, fuck. Okay, this doesn't work, just wait a minute. Okay, so I'm back. So this is how any document look like. So you would have, this is the same principle. So you would have like a receipt book, an invoice book, a debit notebook, a credit notebook. And it all works under the same principle. It's got a number, and then you fill it in. This is the original. Can you see in the back there is copies? It's the same number, but it's a copy. So in this case, there will literally be 3 papers. So the original, once I filled in the original, I will actually, it will shine through on the next page. Can you see? Here's all the duplicates. So now I tear this out and the original goes to whoever I need to communicate with. Right, so that's why we always say that a business itself will always work from the duplicates, because the original went to the other party. The only time we work with original is with the CJ, because then we are the client. And that's why we have to renumber it, because those numbers are working according to the person I'm doing the business with booklet. Okay, it's not my booklet. So the only place where I will work from an original is the CJ. All the other times, receipts, debit notes, credit notes, I will work from the duplicate because the original went to the other party. Okay, so we got that now. So I'm going to draw you a little picture. Let's say there's two parties. Okay, party A and party B. So party A decides to return goods to party B, right? So if he returns goods, he's going to send him a debit note. So what's important to remember, the debit note always goes with the request for an allowance. So if I'm returning the jean that I bought from Edgar's, it will go with a debit note. Now, I'm using a shop, but remember, we are actually, when we're doing books for the kids, we are working much larger scale, and we are working from the point of view of a business, right? So now the person gets the request. He's going to investigate it. If he thinks it's fine, or if he determines he's going to give an allowance, he's going to send a credit note. Okay, so in other words, we can say a debit note is asking and a credit note is answering. Okay, so now it depends whose books are we doing. If we are doing the books of the guy sending the debit note. Now remember, if we send the debit note, it means we are keeping the duplicate. This guy will get the original. Okay. So, what are we going to receive? We're going to receive the original credit note because he sends me, and now I'm the client, so I get the original. If I'm doing the books of this guy now got the debit note. So he has the original debit note. He investigates and he returns an answer. He says, yes, we'll give you allowance. So he's going to send the credit note. Can you see? He's going to have the duplicate credit note. Okay. So in other words, these two documents go together and these two go together. And you need to figure out which is the document that you sent, because you are going to work from the duplicates. Okay. So in other words, the duplicate debit note is when we are asking for an allowance. And when will we ask for an allowance? We'll ask for an allowance if we were the ones buying and now returning. So that would be a CAJ. Can you see opposite? Debit note, creditor's allowance. Duplicate credit note would be if I'm the one receiving the stuff back. Right? So I am now the one who said, yes, you can have an allowance. And to who do we say, yes, you can have an allowance? To the people who bought from us on credit. So that would be a DAJ. So this all sounds extremely complicated. But the only thing you need to know is if they say we received a debit note, then it means we received the original. You always receive the original. And then we know, oh, we issued a duplicate credit note, and a duplicate credit note is DAJ. Oh, I issued a credit note. Same thing goes. I always issue the original and I keep the duplicate, DAJ. Okay. So, if they say we issue, then it means it's duplicate. And that's the journal we're going to do. If they say we receive, then it's the original. Then I have to go look, what did I issue? Ne? And from that, which is the duplicate, I will do my journal. You guys fine? So let's read this. So if I look at exercise 17. Exercise 17 says, Heloise sells goods on credit. On 1st March, the balances of the two debtors are as follows. And please tell the kids that those two debtors together will give me my debtors control. So if my debtor Martino owes me 300, Crevette owes me 200, then it means in total the debtors owe me 500. Let's just give them that concept. Okay, now if I go look at March, they say sold merchandise on Crevette, so that's easy, that's a DJ. Crevette complained about the quality of the goods supplied to him on the 5th. Now look at this. A credit note was issued to him. So always remember the issued is the duplicate. Duplicate credit note is a DAJ. Send an invoice to Martino for goods bought on credit. That's easy, that's a DJ. Martino complained that he was overcharged by 40 Rand. Issue a credit note to him. So again, issue makes it a duplicate, makes it a DAJ. So now if I do the exercise, always remember, debtors journal of who? Heloise. What month? They say March 24. DJ1. And I know this is sales and cost of sales. And again, debtors allowance of Heloise for March 24. Woo. And I know it's a DAJ. So this now, cost of sales still stay there, but this now becomes an account called debtors allowance. And debtors allowance, let me write it big, debtors allowance is the expense, meaning it's a nominal. Okay, so now let's do this. So on the 5th we sold merchandise, invoice 333 for Crevette, and it cost 460, sorry, and the cost of sales is 345. Okay, now let's do the DAJ. So you can decide how you teach your kids. You can either do all the DJs first and then the DAJs, or you can go and do it per date. So if I do it per date, I see on the 7th it says, Crevette complained about the quality of the goods. Give him a credit note 12. This is on the 7th, it's still Crevette. And it's going to look exactly like your sales transaction. So because he returned the goods, you see. So he returned 80 Rand and the cost price was 60. Next one, the 12. So now it just follows. I have Martino, and Martino buys credit 900, cost 675. But now I want you to see number 15. Martino complained he was overcharged. Can you see here? He doesn't give the goods back. We're just going to make the sales price less. So in other words, instead of him having to pay me, what did he buy, 900 Rand? I want him to owe me only 860. But he didn't return the goods. So the cost price stays the same. Ne? He didn't return it. I didn't get goods back. It's just he owes me less. So I'm going to make less profit. So now I say, okay, 13, 15, Martino. And we only give him a debtor's allowance, and now there's going to be no cost of sales because he didn't return the goods. And then I just total 06, is it 416, 13, and this is 10, 12, 10, 60, 120.